So in today's video, Joe Knows Retirement, I don't have any steak dinner in front of you, but we are going to be talking about annuities. And so I joke about that because around town here in Columbus, and I'm sure all across the country, there's a lot of advisors who they send out mailers with juicy steaks on them to say, hey, come hear me talk about this annuity so I can sell it to you. I don't know your situation, but let me sell it to you. It's something that we see very often. And so we typically always say run from those situations. But we are today in this video, we're going to take a step back and look at the pros and cons of annuities and just see, for one, if you have a pension, a guaranteed income stream for life already, do you even need an annuity? And so that's what we're going to talk through today. And so that's what's in store for today of Joe Knows Retirement.
Joe knows taxes.
Joe knows the market.
Joe knows Social Security.
Joe knows income planning.
Joe knows pickleball? No.
This is Joe Knows Retirement.
So my name is Joe Schmitz. I'm the CEO and founder of Peak Retirement Planning, and I started doing this YouTube channel a long time ago and really just doing videos for our clients so that we could refer to and give them further education. And then all of a sudden it just blew up. And I actually did a video on a pension that just took off. And after that, we had so many different viewers from YouTube, and mostly wanting more pension content. And that's one of our specialties of the firm, is working with those with pensions. Majority of our clients have a pension. We work with a lot of federal employees. We work with a lot of state employees. We work with real retirement. We work with people who have saved and put in money all of their lives. We call them the Midwestern Millionaire. They've been frugal. They've been diligent. They haven't made millions of dollars of years, but they've made enough to make sure that they've got a great retirement. And then you add a pension on top of it. Well, a pension, depending on the amount of it, can add a lot of value to your net worth. And so a question we always get from this crowd is hey, I don't think I need an annuity. What do you think? I've already got an annuity in my pension. And so that's what we're going to break down in today's video. And so I think we first have to start off by understanding what is an annuity, what are the different types of annuity, and then we'll kind of get into our recommendation of if we feel that this is something that these people need to consider or not. And so, let's first start off by saying there's no perfect investment, and we also don't know your specific situation. So some people watching this, an annuity may make sense. For others, it may not. And so without knowing your situation, I can't advise you on what to do. When we work with clients, we don't dictate what to invest in until we go through a thorough analysis of what their situation is and what their goals are. And on top of that, it really depends on, for example, what's your risk tolerance? So one question we ask our clients all the time, hey, on a scale of 0 to 100, where do you sit, right? Are you 100 where you're ultra aggressive? You want everything in the stock market where, hey, it could go up 50%, but it could also go down 20%. We know in the stock market over time, we expect it to do, much better, right? More risk, more growth, more return potential is what we always say, but it's going to be more of a roller coaster. Some of our clients, they love that. They are excited about that. They want their money there. Other of our clients are more towards that 0 where it's hey, I don't want to lose money. I have enough money at this point. I don't want to take on more risk than I need to at this point. I just want to make sure I have enough to live the retirement that I've always wanted to live. And I want to make sure there's some legacy left behind for my spouse to be taken care of, and maybe some there for the kids, or maybe a charity or an organization that's dear to their heart. And so, depending on where you sit on that scale is how you should invest, right? So if you say I'm 100, you probably don't want to be invested in an annuity, right? Because annuities have more guarantees, but less opportunity for growth is typically what we advise people of. And so, if you're saying, hey, I'm 50, I'm half and half, well, now I can start to look at, vehicles like an annuity or maybe a CD or other protected type of vehicles like bonds or, treasuries or whatever that may be. So just know there's a lot of different options on that protection side. But again, it starts with, what you're looking for. And the other thing to keep in mind is do you have an income need? Do you have a need for income? And if your pension already covers your income and you have Social Security on top of that and you don't need income, well, again, maybe you don't need an annuity. Maybe you don't even need as much in the protection side unless you just don't want to see your investments go up and down and you want it more consistent and stable over time and have more security. So that's for you to decide of what you're looking for there. So that's kind of an overview. Let me get into the different types of annuities and why it can be so hard for people to understand what this is and do they need it or not. And so what you'll hear mostly about are two types of annuities. One is what's called a variable annuity. And that's the bad word of the annuity world is what you'll hear from everyone. There's a big firm, I'll say their name, Fisher Investments. They hate variable annuities. And so do we. If you're looking for my honest opinion there, there could be good variable annuities out there, but I just have not seen many. Most of the people who come to us who already have a variable annuity, we look at it and we try to find ways to either replace it or get out of it if there's not going to be a large surrender charge there, because there's just not a lot of advantages. You're looking typically at anywhere between 1 to 4% in fees. We just saw one the other day. It was like 3.7% all in of all the fees, because you have to worry about the M&E fee of the annuity structure of how it works. You have to worry about a rider fee for income typically in a variable annuity, so you can get guaranteed income off of it. You have to worry about sub-accounts fees, which you're invested in like particular almost like mutual funds there that have a separate fee on top of it. And so when you factor in all those charges, and if you want to get out of it early, you got a surrender charge on top of that, it can just get very costly, and that's going to eat at your return. So we saw the client we just looked at, they had it all in equities invested in the variable annuity. All the sub accounts were in, equities, which over time equities have done really well, and their return on this was 4%. And we're like, why? How have you only done 4%? Well, it's because all those fees have been dragging it down. Now, the other downside of a variable annuity, unless you have a guaranteed income rider on that, is that you can lose value in your principal because of those fees, but also because of the market. If those equities go down, you're not protected in that. Now, a lot of these variable annuities have guaranteed income. It's kind of like fund money side of it, where they're going to guarantee you a certain amount for the rest of your life. So that could be something that could be, attractive for some people. But you just have to look is what's the value of that guaranteed income stream that you're going to get, and are there better ways to do that? So those are the things to be aware of with a variable annuity. Again, we don't typically recommend a variable annuity. I don't know if I ever have in my career. Not to say I never will, right? We always keep an open mind. If the variable annuities become really attractive at some point, if they change their features and raise their rates, whatever it may be. So you never want to just count something out and say, well, that's I don't want that because Joe said variable annuity is a bad word. Well, maybe now, but we don't know about in the future. So just always be open-minded. We would never want to be close-minded when working with our clients and their life savings. Another type of annuity is called an income annuity, and there's different ways to do it. Some are SPIAs, some are considered fixed index annuities. There's just a lot of different ways to do it. And again, typically these are going to have a rider on them. So a SPIA is pretty simple. So basically the way a SPIA works, again, this is not something I've ever done for a client. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Again, it could be advantageous. I'm not sure your situation. But basically the way it works is, let's say you take $1 million is an easy number. You put it into this SPIA, and then that's going to spit you out a certain amount of income right away for the rest of your life. Well, the great thing is you get an income annuity for the rest of your life that's guaranteed. The rates are probably pretty decent because you're giving up your principal. You no longer can access this annuity. You are annuitizing that annuity. And so this is not a type of annuity that we would typically recommend, because a lot of our clients want to leave a legacy. And, whenever we talk about an annuity, clients always ask like, hey, I have this annuity from a long time ago. Am I even going to be able to get this? And in most cases it is, but this is a type of annuity that, it's kind of the old type of annuity. And, we just don't really see a lot of favor when people, when we ask them what they're looking for. They don't typically say they just, want to put money into something and not have any value out of it. So just something to consider there. And then a lot of times with these income annuities, even the well-structured one where if you pass away, you can still get that, they can be attractive, especially right now. Interest rates are a little higher. You can get a pretty good payout on those types of annuities. And we don't use these often just because, again, most of our clients have a pension. They don't really need another income on top of that. But in some cases, if our client want more guaranteed income, this is about the only way to do it. But also, if you have a lump sum option within your pension where you can take a lump sum fully or maybe a partial lump sum, and maybe it makes sense to take that and then put it into this type of income annuity. Again, you can still get it if you pass away. It's an income stream ongoing. And what we'd look at to see if that made sense is, hey, could this be a better payout with the insurance company than it would be with the pension company, right? And so that's something we see often makes sense. So if you say, I want to take this lump sum, but I don't want to give up that guaranteed income, then this could be a situation where you look into some type of income annuity like this. And those are the times that we typically look at it for our clients if they're just ultra conservative. But you have to understand you are paying for that guaranteed income. And so, you may not get as much value out of that annuity long term, but you can sleep at night knowing that that's going to be there depending on what you're looking at there. So those are some of the things to look at there. And then I would say one of the most popular type of annuities right now that we're seeing is a more of an indexed annuity where you put money into it and it can go up, with the market up to a certain point maybe, and then if it goes down, you don't lose anything. So it's not going to grow as much of the market, right? Because if the market, let's say, goes up 15%, well, maybe in this type of annuity, you only get 10%. And maybe the market goes down 20, well, maybe you get, downside protection so you don't lose anything. So, a lot of people can find that type of vehicle attractive, but you have to understand why you're doing it. You're not doing it to participate in the market ups, if it goes really high. I mean, some people, some annuity salespeople out there try to sell this product as, hey, you can participate in the market all during the good times, and when it's bad, you don't have to worry about it. Well, that's partly the case, as I just explained, but, you may be losing an upside over time because the market could perform way more than that in the future. So that's the way that works. And there's also, with a lot of these types of annuities, there can be no fees on them attached to them. If you just do not get any riders and strip them down, you may not have to worry about paying any fees on that type of vehicle. So, it can be helpful for those who maybe they want to look to invest in, for example, treasuries, and maybe they want to work with a financial advisor. Well, if the treasuries are 5% is what they're yielding, and a financial advisor charges a 1% fee, well, now you're only yielding 4%. Well, what if you put it into, this type of annuity that we're talking about, where there is no, management fee, because that advisor would get paid a commission off of that, right? They'd have to be insurance licensed, so not all advisors are insurance licensed. We'd always recommend you should. You shouldn't work with an advisor who cannot offer specific solutions, right? So we always recommend working with an advisor who's a fully licensed fiduciary, probably a CFP, right? Certified Financial Planner. That means they're held to the highest standard. And then also someone who is insurance licensed. Now they can pick from anything out there. If there's an annuity, if they want to look at any types of investments out there, they can truly pick what is going to be best for your assets. And so, in that example, let's say that annuity returns at 5% fixed rate. Well, in that case, your fee's not coming out of that. You're actually going to yield more here than you would here, right? And there's some other considerations there, so understand all pros and cons of this. Isn't just that simple. For example, one of the downsides that I haven't even mentioned yet with annuities is it ties up your money. And so you could tie up your money in an annuity for, a few years, 5 years, 10 years. Just depends on your situation. But if you do that, a lot of these annuities will only let you take out about 10% per year from those annuities. And so you can't just withdraw any amount of money you want to. Whereas a treasury example, well, you have full liquidity typically in a treasury, depending on how you set it up. And so those are the things that you want to consider as you see, does this make sense for me or not? If you are looking at an annuity, then I would say that type I just explained, it's more of an index annuity, or maybe that income annuity that I mentioned could be advantageous for some that are looking to replace a pension, but that's what I would say to look into. But again, back to the whole baseline here. If you are more aggressive, you may not want to look into an annuity because you're gonna have your returns drag. So that just may be something you want to be aware of. But we always think of the two buckets, right? Growth bucket and protection bucket. Again, we decide how much do our clients want in each bucket, and then from there we try to find the best options on the protect side. So an annuity could be an option, treasuries, bonds, money markets, CDs. There's all these different types of vehicles. It's for you to decide of what's the best. So what we do with our clients is we show them different options. We never come to the table and try to push a specific investment. That'd be the worst thing in the world. If you want to work with us, you have to do this. And there's advisors that say that, and it's crazy to me because it's not our money. We can't tell the clients what to invest in. We can recommend it. We can do all the research and say, hey, based on what we're seeing, based on what you're telling us, based on what your numbers show, here's what we suggest. But we can't be the one to sign that on the dotted line to say that they want to do that, right? They need to do that. And so we always show them options and show them pros and cons, right? There's good things about what we're talking about today, and there's bad things about what we're talking about today. There's good things about other investments, there's bad things. Again, there's no perfect investment is how we think through that. So I hope that gives you a really good summary of what to think about when if you are going to consider an annuity in retirement. And again, work with a fully licensed fiduciary team that is comprehensive in nature. There's a lot of advisors out there that only have their insurance license and call themselves a financial advisor, and they're not technically a fiduciary and don't have to act in your best interest. And that's why a lot of times annuities have gotten a bad rep, is because they've been misplaced. I mean, the amount of times we see people come in who have an annuity from prior and it's not positioned the right way, I mean, we see it all the time. But if you're working with the right team who's truly going to act in your best interest, and they show you options for an annuity, there could be some good things there. I mean, there's not all bad things with annuities, right? You leverage institutional rates with an insurance company, which means that they could offer you better opportunities than what you could get on your own, right? Insurance companies are some of the biggest companies in the entire country. If you go to the biggest cities, they've got the biggest skyscrapers because they're successful and they can leverage that success, those rates, to give better rates to the consumer. So obviously in doing so, there's going to be some negatives of that as well. So never just look at all sunshine and rainbows when considering these options. And so if you are looking for more of this type of planning that's open-minded and exploring all the opportunities out there, feel free to schedule a time with us, especially if you have a pension. That's one of the areas we specialize in, and you can just do so in the link below. I will say, though, we don't take on everyone that we meet with. We have over 20 people a week, especially recently, that reach out to us from YouTube every week. So we have to be very selective in who we bring on. And so this is an opportunity. There'll be a questionnaire for you to fill out to see if we can truly best serve you. And if so, we'll schedule a 15-minute call. And in that 15-minute call, it's just to get a better idea of what you're looking for, share a little bit more about what we do, and just see if we could be a good fit. And then if so, we'll set up another time to explore further and look to make a decision if this is what we want to do. And our biggest saying is, if it's not a good fit, no problem. We're going to guide you in the right direction. We're never going to leave anyone stranded or hanging out without the right guidance of where to go. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons we do these videos, just to educate people and make sure they have the retirement that they're looking for. We cannot serve everyone out there, as I just said, and so this gives us a way to reach more people, and then allows us to have our still boutique family feel approach at our firm so that we can over deliver for the clients that we do work with. So if that's of value to you, again, that link's in the description there. We'd love to see if we can help, and hope to see you on the next videos here as well. So signing off here, and have a great rest of the day.